So in general, some of the stuff we were going to talk about was just best ways to build wealth or kind of set up a starting point for someone in their 20s. And some of the stuff that I feel like we would kind of agree on, which is good for anybody, is I guess number one is just I guess building or getting job experience. Just getting into different jobs and kind of figuring out what you want to do in life, and just learning different pieces of business or being in different industries is always good. A good start in your early 20s, because if you figure that out within that 10 years, I mean, you still have 40 years of working possibly.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's good to like stay at a job for 3 to 6 months. If you enjoy it, stay longer. If you don't, then leave, but stay for those like few months so you can get that experience and get a job that Monday through Friday, but you get the weekends off. So in the weekends, you can build what we'll talk about here in a little bit, like side income. You can build your assets, which is that's like one way a lot of people are able to retire really early, like 30, like 30s and 40s, because they work the Monday through Friday and they get a really good side income and really good build a really good asset with investments, and they do it smart and they build up a really big income that gives them more time and lets them retire when they're like 27 or 30.
No, yeah, 100%. I don't think anybody should necessarily do a job that they don't enjoy. I think you and me are both kind of in those situations, and I've had several different jobs in different industries. I've worked in service. I've worked in, technically all of them are technically a service industry, but different different industries in amongst themselves on category. So I've kind of seen some of the things I both like and dislike, and whatever else. So I've kind of been able to build a better volume of what I enjoy doing and what I don't want to do. So I mean, there's always that thing that it's always good just to get out there and get experience, figure out what you want to do while you're young, to work more hours, figure out and bust your butt to kind of figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. Because if you're going to do that, it's always best to do that young before you settle and kind of get into a situation. Because if you try doing the same thing when you're a little older, which just kind of relates to the next thing, which is just starting a business young, it's definitely a lot easier to take the risk and start a business in your 20s than it is when you're in your 40s and you have a mortgage and kids and a family to take care of. Taking a risk like that is a lot harder for, I would say, anyone to ever take than if someone was 22 and had a business venture and just went for it. There's a lot more time if it doesn't succeed, that you still have plenty of time in your life to get back on track and be fine. Just because the amount of time you have before you would possibly retire, that it's not going to set you back necessarily. If anything, it'll just be a learning experience.
I agree, like 1,000%. Like, you're right.
I was going to say, I don't think there is such a thing, I guess, in my book as failure. I've kind of realized that. It's like, even on times that I know.
Is.
Well, I mean, I do, but
there's one way to fail, and that is just to completely give up.
Well, I get okay. That's fair.
Failure.
Well, depending on certain situations, failing isn't like, you don't necessarily give up, but sometimes stuff just doesn't work, so you can't, like, it's just stuff doesn't work out, so you move on to something else.
Like if you start a business and it fails, but if you then go start, like, you stop that and then you go start up another business, that's not failure. You're just you're trying to.
Well, I wouldn't consider that different. Giving up.
Yeah, that's not giving up at all.
No. You got to readjust.
Switch lanes and figure out which one works.
No, 100%. It's like you realize your mistakes and then you readjust. And that's kind of what I feel like is like, failure isn't necessarily something that's bad. It's like it's a learning opportunity to basically be like, oh, okay, so I see what I did wrong here.
Yeah.
I see the things I've done. This is what I can do better. And then you take that into a different experience. So it's like, if you do have, let's say, a business that fails, you learn what you did wrong. Even if you go into another business, you have that experience and that time and stuff you have already learned to then bring to the table somewhere else.
Yeah, definitely.
And another thing to do in your 20s that's a great way to build wealth is investing. Noah has not necessarily invested yet.
Yeah,
You haven't, have you?
I plan to. It's I need to find but I just need a steady income. Like I don't have a steady income.
That's
For
true.
many months I just lived off of savings, and like I didn't feel comfortable, like I wasn't making anything, so I didn't feel comfortable taking out of my savings and putting into investments. But eventually, and next year, I do plan on starting to invest in a couple things.
Investing in general is so good. It's definitely probably the best. It's been proven to be the best way to grow your wealth over the long term. And it's something that's not necessarily taught in schools necessarily. I mean, they talk about, I guess, retirement funds and 401ks a little bit, but the stuff they talk about is so piss poor. Like, they don't go into it very specifically and actually break down what it is and what it involves. But it's risky at one point or another, depending on what you invest in. But there's definitely stuff you can do that is, you can mitigate your risks, and it is something at one point you got to get used to on your own, just with regular market fluctuations. Like, I haven't been investing that long, but I'm already like content with it, because I know that nothing lasts forever when it comes to the stock market and its trends. It's something else to definitely do in your 20s is live like you're broke. Saving a bunch
really
of money.
Good at that.
Yeah. Living frugally.
You're too good at that, Britt.
Huh?
I wouldn't say you're too good at that.
I'm not good at it. I saved 60% of my income last year.
Oh, wait, really?
Yeah.
Okay. I'll shut up. Never mind.
That was just me getting started. Like, so I definitely did not for a long time. I did not live very frugally or manage my money the best. So that's why it's been a journey over the past year. But best way to do it, especially in your 20s, is the best time to live like you're broke, because it just looks weird when you're 50 and buying microwave dinners and trying to save a few extra bucks and living at home with your parents. So it's a lot better. It's a lot better to do it when you're in your 20s than when you're younger, because the more money you save now, the larger of an impact it's going to have down the road, just because of like compound interest in the market and whatever else, because your money just snowballs and keeps growing. And not only that, but something that's very important to have is multiple income streams. I gotta admit, I don't necessarily have a lot of that. I guess technically my investments were my other income stream off of dividends, but I never took them in personally to then use and as my own money. I just reinvested all my dividends. But there's been studies done by the IRS that almost 65% of all millionaires have at least 3 or more sources of income. So if one drops, they're not necessarily in a sinking ship. I think the best analogy I've seen is like a table. It's like, what's more sturdy, a table with one leg in the middle or a table with 4 legs supporting it? You can take off one leg and it'll still be standing. So So I mean, that's kind of like what you were talking about with the side hustles and stuff like that.
Building those up is definitely really helpful.
Oh yeah, just having different ways to bring in money is always good, which I think more people should do. I mean, even if it's just a part-time job at times, if you're taking in a few extra $100 a month, depending on what you're doing or how many hours you're working, I mean, that's That's still more money you can set aside or then invest in your retirement that you did not have previously. And then just in general, which is something we both agree on, is staying healthy. I feel like staying
Yeah, that
healthy in general
actually
just,
helps so much.
oh yeah, 100%. I
Because it
just
can even get you, I forget how you do it, but if you do it right, it can get you like cheaper health insurance and
yeah,
other
down the
types
road
of
definitely.
stuff.
Life insurance, health insurance, it can definitely
Hmm.
have an effect. And then not only that, just clarity of mind. You feel better, you make better decisions if you stay healthy. And so that
Yes.
definitely will always relate and come back to your finances in some way or another. And if you are going to spend money financially on anything, if it involves your health and like a gym membership or getting supplements or vitamins or eating healthy, like that's an investment in amongst itself. You're investing in your health down the road, and it's definitely worth
Yes.
it.